Please. And medical. Don't open that. Don't open that.
After hearing disturbing voices, a YouTuber's quiet night turned into a waking nightmare until police officers caught him in the city lunging at strangers with his teeth. He claimed to feel a dog's power to hunt, but what everyone witnessed next was straight out of a horror movie. It was August 15th in Jupiter, Florida. On a quiet street named Kokomo Lane, a few residents lived peaceful lives, typical of small beach town. Like many coastal communities, Jupiter was best enjoyed on a hot summer day. And on one of those evenings, 59-year-old John Stevens and his 53-year-old wife Michelle Mishkin were going about their usual routine, relaxing in their open garage. John was a devoted family man who had served in the U.S. Air Force during his younger years. Michelle worked as a real estate agent and was known for her warm, welcoming nature. The couple retired in 2016 and were enjoying the good life together. Their favorite ritual was to spend summer evenings together in the garage with the door open, enjoying the breeze and watching TV. But that night, everything changed. Just after 9 p.m., a neighbor out for an evening walk passed by John and Michelle's home, only to witness something terrifying. He heard screaming and rushed toward the open garage. After 5 minutes of escalating chaos, the neighbor frantically got out of the garage, then called 911.
Don't open that. Don't open that.
Fire rescue, what's your address?
Young man beating up a woman across the street.
Okay, are they outside or in a house?
It's in a garage. I ran over there. I'm bleeding profusely here at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
All right, can you tell us she's conscious or is she unconscious?
No, it does not appear so, no.
And where is he? Is he
I think
in
he's
the area
in the garage, right across the street from my house.
Can you have your wife or someone look out and see if he's still there?
I don't know.
And you said you definitely saw a knife and that's what he hit you with in the back?
No, I did not see it, but my wife's looking at my back and it appears I got punctured.
Yes, Dad. In the neck, in the head, three puncture wounds.
After hearing the screams, the neighbor had gone to investigate. He saw the garage open, John and Michelle on the ground, struggling with a stranger. Michelle wasn't moving. She was lying in a pool of blood. Horrified but determined to help, the neighbor ran into the garage, but the stranger turned on him, stabbing him multiple times. 10 minutes later, the first deputy arrived, and what they found was something straight out of a horror movie. The intruder was still in the garage, straddling John with his legs wrapped around him. He was biting John's face, literally eating his cheek and spitting out the flesh. Officers drew their weapons and ordered the man to stop, but he didn't even flinch. A taser was deployed, electricity surging through him, but it had little effect. When the deputies attempted to restrain him, he displayed unnatural strength. The K-9 unit was released. Even then, the attacker fought the dog off. Officers resorted to kicking him in the head. Eventually, they managed to cuff one of his hands and drag him off the victim. John had already lost parts of his face and body. Inside the home, Michelle was found stabbed to death. Investigators would later confirm that the violence inflicted was extreme. Strangely, there was no evidence suggesting that the killer knew John or Michelle. It appeared to be a completely random act of violence. The zombie responsible for the carnage was taken into custody, but the discovery of his identity only made the tragedy more bewildering. He wasn't a hardened criminal or someone with a long history of violence. In fact, he was a promising 19-year-old college student. His name was Austin Harrouff, and in that unthinkable night, his promising future was replaced by an unspeakable nightmare.
Michelle Mishkin and John Stevens were in their garage when deputies say Harrouff, who did not know the couple, savagely attacked them. Both were stabbed, and Harrouff bit off part of John Stevens' face.
I've seen a lot of crime scenes. I was there last night. I don't know that I've ever seen anything with this much violence.
When deputies arrived on the scene, it took a taser, a K-9, and several law enforcement officers to stop him.
Obviously, we don't know what predicated these acts. We don't know, but certainly there are mental health issues that are going to have to be investigated here.
Born in 1996 in Palm Beach, Florida, Austin grew up with his parents and younger sister. Though his parents divorced in 2013, Austin had maintained a relatively stable life. However, frequent arguments between them had created tension during his early years. In high school, he was interested in playing defensive tackle. According to his personal statements, Austin originally wanted to study pre-med, but ultimately pursued a degree in biology at Florida State University. Once shy and reserved, Austin had started to find his confidence as he entered adulthood, dreaming of becoming a fitness influencer. Under the name A-Frost, he launched a YouTube channel to document his fitness journey.
Hello bros, it's Austin Frosty, man, and today I want to talk about personal trainers and why you should be cautious when following a personal trainer. First off, a personal trainer doesn't have the same body as you. That's the first point, okay? Personal trainers are themselves, and they found out what worked for them. They went through the trial and error, they did their research, and a lot of them don't even look good, man. Be cautious when using a personal trainer and keep at it. Stay gold, stay muscular, quick video, get hoes, get money, get bitches, get sleuths, fly planes, run train. I'm a man.
He played up a goofy, eccentric persona to stand out from the sea of other fitness influencers.
How's it going, guys? Nothing in life worth having is easy. Remember that, guys. You remember that? You remember that?
I remember.
You gotta promise me that you'll remember that. You gotta stay dedicated. Dedication is a very important point. So, I mean, we're doing this shit almost every fucking day. I'm not a scientist, bro. But I know how stuff works. I mean, you can call me God if you want to. The God of fitness. I'm just fucking.
Alongside, he uploaded other videos, many of them featuring boat outings with his father or casual moments from his life. He was described by friends as a goofy, fun-loving guy. He even went on to say, "The way I see myself may or may not be different from the way that others see me. I view myself as happy, shy, nice, positive, and I never give up. I view myself as happy because usually I have very few things to feel sad or depressed about. One of the main things I dislike about myself is that I am shy. I want to be more confident and assertive. I am not that shy around my close friends because after I get to know someone, I'll start to open up more towards them. I also see myself as nice because I will go out of my way to help people." But those words, once full of hope and self-reflection, now echo with unsettling irony. Over the years, Austin showed a sharp decline in his mental and emotional health. He began to overindulge in substances, weed, alcohol, and various drugs. Once he started, he often had trouble stopping. He began alcohol at 17 and quickly developed a pattern of binge drinking to the point of blackouts, later claiming he felt pressured by his fraternity brothers to keep up. But by July 2016, things took a darker, more intense turn. His emotional highs and lows became more frequent and extreme. In early August, Austin spent a weekend at his girlfriend Katie's house. When he woke up, he claimed he saw monsters. This was not entirely new. He had experienced hallucinations and sleep paralysis before. In one incident during college, he believed he saw demons, though he wasn't sure if he was asleep or awake. In response, Austin started studying religion and philosophy, searching for answers. He developed strange beliefs, claiming he could manipulate water and that he had superpowers. These thoughts were symptomatic of a deeper mental health crisis, something that had been lurking under the surface for years. He became afraid of the dark, convinced that evil spirits were hunting him. In a moment of paranoia, he flushed all his drugs, claiming he was worried about purity. At night, he began sleeping with the family dog, believing it could protect him. Just 8 days before the attack, his YouTube videos took on a manic tone. He appeared hyper, energized, and agitated.
I came to a realization of something. I no longer want to follow Arnold or any other bodybuilder. I want to follow myself, you know? I want to actually believe in myself. I want to learn from other things, other people, other bodybuilders and stuff. But I just know that they're not me, you know? I know what's right for me. I don't need drugs. I know that they can change me.
On August 13th, 2 days before the attack, Austin said he felt drained, like his body was heavy but his mind was wired. The next morning, on August 14th, a simple walk with his dog turned into a full-on sprint. He later described a bizarre sensation that he was no longer fully human. He believed he was made up of dog spirits that gave him supernatural strength and speed. That day, he went with his father to a gun show. Instead of being excited, Austin felt paranoid, convinced that something was off. After a while, they browsed knives and machetes, and Austin bought one of each. On August 15th, the day of the murders, Austin woke up early and ran on the beach, claiming later that he had run like an animal. Throughout the day, he bounced from place to place, and eventually to a restaurant where he joined his relatives, including his father. But what began as a pleasant family meal soon escalated into an argument, and Austin stormed out. He then went to his mother Mina's house. Thirsty and disoriented, he drank cooking oil. His mother, alarmed by his behavior, took the bottle from him and drove him back to the restaurant. But Austin clearly didn't want to be there, and shortly after arriving, he left again. Later that evening, reality began to unravel. The world around him started to feel surreal. He began hearing whispers in his head, and terrified, he ran, claiming to be following the stars. But the stars didn't lead him home. Instead, they led him to the garage of John and Michelle. As he entered, Austin saw a terrifying dark figure that sent fear down his spine. He ran toward a light, hoping it was safety, but the light came from the open garage of the victim's home. In reality, Austin had just stumbled into the home of two innocent strangers. What he saw may have been a hallucination, but what John and Michelle saw was a man acting erratically. In that moment, Austin began stabbing Michelle. When John intervened, he attacked him too. John and Michelle were declared dead at the scene. Just 2 hours after the attack, police received another 911 call, this time from Austin's mother Mina. Sadly, it was too late.
I don't know how to do this. My son, he's kind of taken off, and I'm concerned about his own safety, acting a little strange. Seems like he's a little delusional, or this is just like recent change, and that we're noticing. And he was out to dinner with his dad today, and he took off, and he says, you know, he feels immortal and like a superhero. So I don't know what's going on with him.
The neighbor Jeff Fisher had been severely wounded, stabbed in the back, suffering internal bleeding and lacerations to his head.
Understandably, Jeff Fisher appears emotional as he relived what happened here the night of August 15th, 2016. Fisher said he heard strange noises, then a scream. He ran outside.
I saw him slamming Michelle's car door, and then little fuzzy. I saw Michelle come out of the man door into the garage and him grab a hold of Michelle and throw her to the ground.
Fisher said when he arrived, Harrouff spoke to him.
He turned and looked at me and said, "You want no part of this, you want no part of me, one of the two." And then from his right hand swung.
Harrouff connected with his swing, slicing his face and body.
What happened next?
We then got into the little pitter-patter fight thing. I was able to get a hold of his shirt, and when I yanked him like that, he lost his balance and he went down to the ground right there face first.
Fisher realized he was bleeding and ran for safety through John Stevens and Michelle Mishkan's house, ending up on the side of the home.
I got to this general area right here, and I was out of breath and starting to feel some of the pain.
So he hid near a bush, and though he couldn't see Harrouff before running home, he could hear him.
The words were not making sense. He was just, something to that effect.
It was a shocking nightmare. Most people assumed he was under the influence of some powerful drug, but toxicology reports later found no substances in his system. Shortly after, a mental health expert determined that Austin was in a severely disturbed state. He was suffering from emerging mood and thought disorders, which had led to a psychotic break. It was a true psychiatric collapse, one that shattered his family and raised haunting questions.
I know it's a terrible situation, but I want to ask you some questions about the night that the incident happened. When was the last time you saw him? At 8:20?
Something like that.
Okay, where did you see him?
That's when I dropped him off at Duffy's.
You dropped him off at Duffy's? Okay. So you mentioned on your 911 call that he's acting schizophrenic. Is there any history in your family of schizophrenia on your side of the family? Any sign of mental illness on your side of the family?
I mean, we always teased that my brother was, but
did he ever get treated?
No.
No medicine? What about your son? Did you ever treat him for any?
No.
No? Okay. Has he ever seen a psychiatrist or been treated for?
I don't think he has.
Okay. Was he on any kind of medication?
No.
No? Okay.
At the hospital, Austin was still combative, fighting against his restraints and having to be sedated. He had cuts on his hands, and his tongue was nearly severed, but it was his internal injuries that were far worse. At one point during the attack, Austin drank a liquid he found in the garage. He believed it was alcohol, but it was likely bleach or another corrosive substance. The chemical burned his throat and stomach, causing severe internal bleeding. During this time, Austin couldn't distinguish right from wrong. In the days and weeks leading up to the murders, a troubling trail of online searches also began to emerge. Austin had searched phrases like, "How to relax my mind," "auditory hallucinations when falling asleep," "What exactly is hell?" "I think I'm going crazy." These searches painted the picture of a young man spiraling into confusion and fear. He didn't reach out to family or mental health professionals. He kept it all bottled up. Though he was arrested immediately after the murders, Austin wasn't sent straight to jail. He had to be hospitalized for nearly 2 months before he was stable enough to be transferred. According to the results, Austin was diagnosed with schizophrenia and, more specifically, a rare delusion known as clinical lycanthropy, a condition where a person believes they are turning into a wolf or beast. Eventually, he was formally charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. While awaiting trial, several recorded phone calls between Austin and his father revealed how frightened he was, not just of the consequences, but of his own mind.
Well, how's life?
It's tough on us, Austin. We're not used to this.
Am I going to be okay?
Yeah, you're going to be okay.
Is everyone scared?
Yeah. But we're pretty confident that we can pull something off here.
Yeah. How's Jupiter?
Are you taking your medicine?
Yeah, I'm taking my medicine.
You need to get a Bible, Austin.
I know. I asked for one.
Do you have one?
Are you getting me a therapist or anything?
Yes, I plan on it.
Can you do it soon?
Have you talked to your mama yet?
I tried to, but she didn't answer, so I'm going to call her after.
I'll never give up on you.
Okay.
I promise, okay?
Alright.
Listen, Austin, you got to stay strong here now.
I know.
It's the toughest thing you've ever done.
I know.
But you got to stay strong.
I'm just adjusting.
I know it's going to be hard to adjust, but you'll get used to it. The case dragged on for 6 long years, delayed by psychological evaluations, evidence processing, and eventually the COVID-19 pandemic. The defense team filed an insanity plea, and multiple mental health experts were brought in from both sides. 2 forensic psychologists concluded that Austin was in fact suffering from a severe mental illness. Both testified that, at the time of the attack, he could not understand the difference between right and wrong, meeting the legal threshold for insanity in Florida. However, the prosecutors pushed back, pointing to his search history as evidence that Austin was trying to appear insane. They also unearthed evidence from 2015, including heavy drug use and text messages sent to his girlfriend, suggesting a long history of instability and blackouts. Still, the weight of clinical evaluations prevailed. In November 2022, after years of legal proceedings, the case finally came to a close. In a non-jury trial, Austin pled not guilty by reason of insanity. The judge accepted the plea, agreeing with the expert assessments. Rather than being sentenced to prison, Austin was committed indefinitely to a secure psychiatric facility. This outcome infuriated many in the courtroom. Michelle's sister was visibly emotional and angry. Others argued that justice was not served, that no matter the diagnosis, 2 innocent people were dead and the man responsible was spared prison.
The family of the victims feel like justice was not done in this case, and they argue the suspect was not insane and knew what he was doing when he allegedly brutally murdered Michelle and John.
You both said your son acted strangely for weeks leading up to the murders, and you even set up an appointment for him to be evaluated. You should have done your job better, quicker. You should not be purchasing him knives.
Based on pages and pages of text messages with friends, the victim's sister painted a picture of the suspect's habitual drug and alcohol use prior to the murder. But in the end, this is how the judge ruled.
Not guilty on the offenses charged in the indictment for the cause of insanity.
In an episode of Dr. Phil, Austin later expressed deep remorse for what happened. Toward the end of the segment, the pain in his voice suggested that the gravity of his actions and the weight of his mental illness still haunts him.
Is it hard for you to imagine that you did this to these two people?
Yeah. It's the hardest thing I've ever gone through, or I never imagined that this would ever happen. And I'm deeply sorry to the family that was affected. And I hope that something like this never happens again. I didn't ever want to consciously do something like this, or I never planned it. I didn't want to do it.
If their family members are watching this right now, what do you say to them? Look into the camera right now, and if they're watching, what do you say to them?
I'm sorry for their loss, and I hope that you can find it in your heart to forgive me. And I'm so sorry, and I never wanted this to happen. I'm so sorry. It's like a nightmare. I just don't know how to say. I don't know how to put it into words. I never wanted this to happen.
Austin, are you ashamed of what you did?
Yes, 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 yes.
John Stevens and Michelle Mishkin are remembered as kind-hearted people, a couple who loved the quiet of their Florida home. If you're still with us, thank you for watching. Show some love by smashing that like button, and we'll see you in the next one.